Welcome back to Local Decision 2020. I'm Rusty Ray. We're joined now by Anoka County Commissioner out of District 2, Julie Braastad. Julie, thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. Appreciate this opportunity.
What a time to be on the county board. What a time to be running for office, for re-election in your case. It's been quite a year to be making decisions, but also I would imagine to be talking with voters.
It definitely has been interesting. It's kind of changed campaigning. We're used to doing a lot of parades and city festivals and big gatherings, and those just are not happening.
But are you able to get out or at least talk or exchange ideas or talk about what people want to see happen or their concerns, whether they're COVID related or not?
Absolutely. I have kind of reinvented some of the ways I can gather with people. So I'm doing coffee with the commissioner, maybe just a couple people at a time. Still, I'm doing door knocking and getting out, but wearing a mask when you get up to the door, if that's what makes people comfortable. There's some people that like to talk from behind their storm doors, and that's good too. And others come out and encourage you to take the mask off. So there's people all over, that on that issue.
Right.
So, but yeah, it's different, but good.
What are they saying? What are you hearing about the most? Is it COVID or is it another issue or something that they see that the county could do better or anything like that?
County related, it really seems to be property taxes. People really are concerned. Almost everyone's been impacted in one way or another with COVID and their jobs. So they do worry about the property taxes.
And just their abilities to pay?
Exactly. Want to see how we're controlling them. I think they're pretty smart and intuitive and know that how much it's cost us to put precautions in place due to COVID. Thank goodness for the federal CARES dollars. We've really been able to do a lot of really good things with that. So I think they know that I've always been committed to holding the line on property taxes, and especially during tough times.
And that was the case, just announced that there will not be an increase for the levy for the coming up budget year, right?
Right. Our preliminary levy is flat. We do have the opportunity between now and the beginning of December to lower that, depending on where things come in kind of this last quarter. The next couple months will really show us where we're at. I'd love to lower it if we could.
I'm sure you would. I'm sure a lot of the commissioners would like that very much.
Yep.
Is the economic impact of COVID going to last beyond a vaccine or beyond the return to more of a normal life in society? Are there going to be long-lasting implications because of a loss of revenue or because of the economic impact that this has had?
Well, I think for some people it will. We've seen some people really close down and wrap up their businesses. Depending on what happens, I wish we knew. I think there is definitely the chance that a lot of people will have long-term effects to it. On the other hand, there's some businesses that have just increased and sales have gone up. So depending on what industry you're in, I think we have a challenge ahead of us.
And what about for the county? What about for the way the county is able to conduct its business? Is there going to be not only the long-term economic impact on that, but the way the county does business and has had to innovate? You and I spoke a few weeks ago about the virtual meeting rooms and there's remote work possibilities that may lower overhead costs for the county. Maybe there's not as much office space or garage space for a vehicle or something like that. Is this going to have a long-lasting impact on the way the county offers services to citizens?
I think so, and I think we would be remiss if we don't take what works really good during COVID. I mean, like within a few days, we were able to deploy about 1,000 people to work from home, and that was a huge undertaking. And it works really good for some people to work from home. Others not so much. So we will always have to have some office space. But what it has freed up space for us in some areas that were overcrowded and we needed some more room. this is really kind of going to help us out in some areas. So we are constantly looking at different ways, like you brought up the virtual rooms, how we can use innovation to be more effective. That's in our mission statement. So COVID has just really, really challenged us. And I think we have done an excellent job. Our staff, the things they have come up with, and then using the CARES dollars, it's maybe some things we wouldn't have been able to invest in the past, but we're going to make sure that it's invested wisely to make sure that we can serve people best going forward.
Is there anything in particular about your district, ranging from Blaine all the way up into Ham Lake, of course, and then East Bethel and other parts? Is there anything in particular there that you want to continue to work on, or maybe even add on to, or start working on, should you get another term, that you haven't already, that, again, is more particular to your district or particular to the needs that you hear from your district?
Well, the big giant out there, Highway 65, that has been overlooked and neglected for so long. Just in the last couple years, we started some serious discussions with MnDOT. The county has kind of led the charge on improving Highway 10 over the last 10 years. Things don't move fast. And so a few years ago, I said, I'm still committed to working with my team on Highway 10, but we need to start working on Highway 65. And the county has really led the charge on both of those issues. So Highway 65 goes right up the heart of my district, and nobody likes it. It's over congested. There's a lot of accidents. So that really is going to be one of my main priorities, is keeping the momentum. MnDOT has recently released their study that they completed. Both the county and the city of Blaine contributed to the cost of that because it means so much to us. So trying to make sure that something like what's occurred up on Viking and Highway 65 doesn't happen south of here. Just to be clear, that intersection up there was a 100% MnDOT project. The county and the city of East Bethel were able to voice their concerns, but MnDOT paid for it, planned it, and constructed it. And there's some issues with it that I'm in contact with MnDOT reps all the time about.
Well, they made a major change to it, then there was at least one really terrible accident that happened, and then they made another change to it, but yet still people have input on it. Is that going to be the way that the county kind of addresses this? It's a state road, and it goes through city, and it goes through county, but the interchanges might be more where the county can be, and the cities can be a part of that input. Is that my understanding? Is that
right? They ask for our input. They don't always take it. They didn't take a lot of our concerns with the Viking intersection, and it hasn't improved. So I think they might be more willing to listen to us now. While it's creative and on paper it looks like it should work okay, the crash statistics and the fatalities tell us something otherwise. Right. And it's really serious. So the county's going to have to be a little more aggressive, I think, and I'm up to that challenge.
You mentioned it's been a flurry of activity related to COVID at a county board level, and for good reason. There were immediate decisions that needed to be made, and they have been and continue to be. Do you feel like there was anything that the county was on the verge of starting to look at or starting to make decisions about that kind of got pushed aside, or because these other things had to happen in a timely fashion that maybe have been postponed because of the response to COVID?
Well, one off the top of my head is we're looking at doing something with a new jail. Our jail is overcrowded. It has some issues. So we've had a criminal justice committee put together for probably a year and a half now. We hired a consultant to do a needs assessment, that looks at 10, 20, 30 years, what our jail needs are going to be. And we were meeting on a monthly basis, and the committee involved commissioners, our staff from corrections, the sheriff's office, the bench, and prosecutor's office, and the defense attorneys. So really trying to figure out what we need, how to serve some of those issues in the jails, like mental illness. You know, we have a lot of people in the jail that don't belong there. They just maybe need treatment. Mental illness has always been a priority for me. You know, I've worked with Lee Carlson Center and Cambia Hills, trying to address it and end the stigma around that. So COVID did kind of make us pump the brakes on that, just because it was so hard for all of us to get together.
I see.
We have started up those meetings again.
Okay.
And that is a big project on the horizon. There's no way that we get around it. So just now getting back on track and making sure that we're making some really good decisions.
Through the course of this campaign, a couple of folks who are opponents of sitting commissioners have talked to us about the issue of public input at the county board meetings. I know this year, before COVID, there was a vote on that, and that it was up again for discussion. And that public input, meaning someone can come to a meeting and speak to the commissioners directly, and whatever the topic may be, even if it's not something on the agenda, like what happens at many city councils, is available at committee meetings, you know, these committees that the different commissioners are on, but not at the Tuesday board meetings. Is that something that you've put a lot of thought about why that's not the case at the county level, and do you think it could come up again as people continue to express their desire for that?
Well, we're structured so much like the state legislature. We have this subcommittee process. So we have about 20 county committees, and there's a mixture of which ones you're on. It kind of rotates. But really, if someone has a concern, waiting until a county board meeting is not a good idea, because all the work, the legwork, the vetting, the discussion, everything happens in our subcommittee meetings and our workshops. I feel that as a county commissioner, we're really connected to the community. So if someone has a question about something, don't even wait till a committee meeting. Call me, you know, meet with me. That's how I like to operate. As things come up, as concerns come up, you don't have to take time off to come into a committee meeting. Just give me a call. We can meet for coffee. We can talk on the phone. You can email me, text me. I don't really think it's a big deal. I have seen, I think about things at the legislature. If we waited as a county to express our concerns till the day they're voting on something at the floor, that isn't really addressing the issue. Everyone knows you have to address it much sooner than it's coming to the vote on the floor. Coming from a city council position, I have seen that public comment isn't always utilized for really what it's supposed to be. I've seen where people come up and make attacks on staff or processes. And once it's out there, it's out there. You can't take it back. So I always encourage people, if you have any concerns, contact me ASAP. Let's get things addressed.
And do you find that people do that? They have done that with you?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm contacted all the time. People are not, I'm very connected to my community.
Sure.
I've been an Anoka County resident my entire life. I've lived in Ham Lake almost my entire life. So people know me. I can be at the grocery store. I can be at a fundraising event or whatever, and open to talk to people. I do this full time. I don't have another job that takes away my commitment. So I'm very accessible, very approachable.
Okay, and we appreciate you being here today.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
You got it.